again.
Yes, we got cut off.
That's right. We now used our Google Home app. Is that correct?
That's right.
To ensure that this particular device that is broadcasting the Facebook Live is a priority device, so others on the Wi-Fi would get kicked off or slow down.
I don't know.
Get kicked off before this one. So hopefully that'll help.
Yep.
The Wi-Fi has been not so great the past week.
It worked too. It sucked all year.
So yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Not sure why. Anyway, so welcome. Today we are talking about books, which is a great topic for educators and students alike. And so we are glad you are here. The very first question, it's always a welcome question.
Yep.
So introduce yourself and tell us, what are your favorite books of all time and why? So I'm excited to hear what people say on this question, because I'm always wanting to know if there's more books that I would like to read. So
that's right. Let's see.
And I actually found my favorite author on Twitter, so I was able to tag her, which was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Even though I've never tweeted her before. I don't think I'll find this one because, but I'm going to try it.
Here we have Levi. He's from Korea, and he says that I teach music within people out in Korea, and he is excited to learn from us. All his favorite books would be the HP series, to them creating a love for
HP?
Yes.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Got it.
And he also loves James Patterson novels. So we have some love in Korea right now.
I love that.
Yes.
We are international today.
That's right. So mine would be my two favorite books growing up to read. I think I read the Bo Jackson autobiography like 3 times. Love that book. I used to always read the sports autobiographies. The Bo Jackson one was my favorite. As far as fiction, I read all the Michael Crichton books when I was like in 6th, 7th grade. I think Jurassic Park and Congo were my 2 favorite. But in addition to my collection of Fresno State football media guides that date back to 1975, I have every single one. I've read those cover to cover more times than I can count. So, so take a look here. Go Dogs.
I am having to cut out characters on my answer. That is why I don't have an answer yet. And I only have room to talk about 2 of my favorite books, even though I have many more.
We have Irby from Arizona, and he says Henry's, Carly's, and Lily's. Those are his grandkids. He's introducing himself, and he produces video PD for a living. And he says that his favorite book of all time, well, he doesn't really remember the title, but he says that the lead character was called Gertrude the Cow. So he read it, or was first read to him in 1959. It's what taught him to read.
Oh,
so
that's
great story
great.
There from Irby from Arizona. Met Irby a handful of times over at Q and other events.
Yes. Did you talk about Kim's answer yet?
I haven't seen Kim's answer yet.
Kim just answered as well. She loves sci-fi and fantasy.
Oh, there it is.
She says Harry Potter is number 1, followed closely by Jurassic Park and some Jack Ryan novels. Now, I must say about Harry Potter, the vocabulary based on the interest level of the students that like to read it is quite high.
Yeah.
Which is really great. And it's great as a read aloud for students who are not yet able to read it independently. Great for vocabulary. So excellent. Love it. All right. So I had 2 answers. House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. I wish I could read it in its native language of Spanish, because even without that, the storytelling, the magical realism, the historical context, the multiple storylines going all on at once, but that all weave together, amazing. There was a movie about it. I saw a tiny bit of it and I stopped watching it. Stopped watching it. I couldn't do it. Good. And then, of course, what's the other one I would choose? Oh, come on. It's so
Alice
easy.
in Wonderland?
Yes. Now, do you know why I love Alice in Wonderland without looking at my answer?
Curious.
She is always curious. But you know what else I think is really important about Alice in Wonderland is that it speaks to the absurdity of the adult world.
Mm.
She's always questioning things that don't make sense, and she hates that there's no imagination in the adult world, so to speak. And so that's what I really like about that.
All right,
Children's curiosities.
tonight we are drinking a Malbec from Ranchita Canyon, one of our favorite wineries out in Paso Robles, not too far from here.
Mm-hmm.
We just were there this weekend.
That's right.
Picked up
That's
our
right.
shipment in case of their finest wine. So we're well stocked with some Ranchita Canyon.
So David Platt just answered, by the way, about his favorite books.
Okay.
And he loves Lord of the Rings
Okay.
and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a trilogy told in 5 books. So that's pretty cool. And then Lord of the Rings, he said, has the hero's journey. Absolutely. Which, to be honest, many stories follow the hero's journey.
Yep.
And that's just good storytelling.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So question 1 just dropped and says, readers are learners. How do you encourage your students to read?
And we already have an answer from Levi Allison,
Yes.
who says that modeling reading as an adult is very important, as well as bringing books into every facet of our learning. And he's talking about using dramatization, retelling in your own words, adding a song, adding sound effects, and books and music. So I like that answer because it's very versatile. And so there are lots of different students that would be drawn to the reading because of all the different things that he talked about there. So I also see that Kim Calderon from our area here has answered as well. And she says that movies are based on books. And so she says that sometimes when she shows parts of a movie, that gets the kids intrigued and want to read more, which is an excellent point. I'm actually the opposite because I'm kind of a geek and I love to read. So as a kid, I would read the book and then be interested in the movie. Kind of opposite of most students. All right. Brian Costello from New Jersey is here also. He says his favorite books are his own.
I bet. That sounds like.
But he says his favorite book, Neverwhere by Neil himself, is the Twitter handle. Do you know that book? I do not.
I don't know. I know Will McGill.
Yes.
That series. I bought those for the kids.
That's right. That's Brian's books.
Yeah.
He also says his favorite educational book is Mandy Froehlich's The Fire Within 1.
Yeah, we have that. I haven't read it yet.
Correct.
Don't spoil it, Brian.
I read it. That one focuses on wellness. And then the second book that Mandy wrote, that's right. He has some students that are published in it. That one I skimmed through but haven't read it yet. So David Platt talks about how to motivate students to read, and he says he approaches it as a parent. So he tries to tap into whatever that his daughter is interested in, for example. So even though she doesn't like to read, she loves theater. And so what David does is he encourages her to read scripts and screenplays because she hates to read but loves theater.
Yes.
So that's a great way to tap into whatever the students enjoy. My brother hated reading. Reading was very difficult for him. But then when he got Electronic Gaming Monthly, the magazine back in the day, all of a sudden he became a reader. So it really, I would agree, has to do with the interests of the child.
It's funny how Ariel started reading a lot more lately because,
Marvel.
yeah, she started, she had seen, some of the, I'm always watching the movies, and she got into the whole Thor series, and now she's reading all the books that, like the kind of tell a story of the movie, some of the offshoots. So she's throwing out all the names of the characters. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But in my class, with in history, primary sources are great because the way I can set it up, in class with some good storytelling to kind of what they're wishing for, like they want more. So finding those first person account books of things that we study, people who survived went through these things, kind of gets them going. So like every year, like I'll bring in, I have a nice. It's a short read. It's like 100 pages, but it's like a series of 5. It was a series of 5 first-person accounts of survivors of the Hiroshima atomic bomb blast. So, just that in itself captures. If I could teach World War II all year and just talk about Hitler and the Holocaust and atomic bombs, I could have them eat out of my hand all year. But when I bring in they're so interested in it, and I bring in that book, and they actually, a lot of kids will read it, and they want to hear what people said who survived it, and they just can't believe it. So they,
Yeah.
just finding those gory details, something
Mhm.
that you can capture their interest. I mean, that's pretty standard, but I know history, it kind of makes it a little easier.
So Daniel Rocha has a similar story to that of my brother in finding something of interest that helped him read. So he says he was behind grade level in reading until he ran into the Slam baseball magazine.
Basketball. I used to read that too.
Oh, basketball. I have bad eyes. I can't read very well.
My favorite episode or favorite cover was when the one they had Rafer Alston wearing the Fresno State jersey on the cover. That was cool.
Oh, that is cool.
That was cool. Seeing Fresno State on the cover of Slam magazine.
Hey, so
It
not
was
only
called the greatest point guard in the world you've never heard of.
oh, that's
It
cool.
was awesome.
Hey, by the way, not only do we have someone from Korea on the chat on the Twitters, we also have Mary
Yes.
from the Philippines.
Yeah, she was one of our coaches in Sydney, in Innovator Academy.
So she says her favorite book is Raids on the Unspeakable by Thomas Merton. She finds the essays, they challenge human norms and lets us look within ourselves for strength. And so even more than 50 years later, it's still relevant. That's a great one.
Speaking of Innovator Academy, they have NYC 19 going on right now, and our good friend John Wick is there.
That's right.
Wanda Terrell's one of the coaches.
That's
I know Dee Lanier, who we see a lot of places,
He's
is
there.
one of the coaches as well. So
And
she's another one she just followed me on Twitter. I had
okay,
already been following her, Laura Gondo.
cool.
I think we're friends on Facebook, but now we're
A friend of mine from years ago
mhm.
that I worked with just before college is also at the Innovator Academy in New York right now.
Nice.
So I saw he had a Facebook post, and I said, say hello to my friend John Wick.
That's right. So the same thing
That's right.
to Wanda Terrell.
Perfect. See,
Yep.
there we go. There we go.
All right.
So John Wick's going to have lots of people
Yeah.
to say hello to
Yes.
from Attica.
Yeah, we know John Wick. Yes.
The John Wick.
We are good friends with John Wick. We party with John Wick. So that's how
We
cool
do.
we are.
So it was great because Steve Woods, who actually
The Steve Woods?
the Steve Woods
The
on
Steve
Twitter,
Woods
who was
with
our
26,000 followers.
officiant for our
Yes.
elopement,
Hilo, man.
the
That's a good
public marriage. Our good friend John Crippo, Jay Crippo on Twitter, was our officiant. But anyway, the Reverend, as we like to call him, the Steve Woods, said was looking at Twitter and noticed that John Wick had retweeted something of mine or whatever, and he says he has the actual Twitter handle at John Wick.
Mhm.
He has it.
You've been around longer.
Isn't that great?
Yep.
Yep.
Question 2 just dropped, and it says some students dislike reading. How do you motivate reluctant readers or increase accessibility for struggling readers?
So with that question, we've got a couple of answers already. One's from Levi Allison, who says that starting where they are comfortable and letting them explore genres that are related or similar. That's a great one to allow them to explore up, so to speak. And then Kim Calderon talks about encouraging any type of reading, whether it be graphic novels, essays, comics, chapter books, picture books. There are so many options. And I would agree with that. It doesn't have to be what you think it would be. Katie McNamara, our CV Tech Talk featured librarian, would you say?
She's the visual librarian at CV Tech Talk.
The official, there we go. Anyway, she says, don't shame students for audio or graphic novels. Let them have a choice in what they read and help them discover what they like. And folks, she's a librarian. I think she'd know. Just saying. So I like to allow students to listen to audiobooks at all grade levels. So, in the younger grades, I work a lot with primary grades, and there are students, if you have the students read The Cat Sat on a Mat all year long, they're never going to build vocabulary, especially for their English learners. So you're not going to find a lot of plot elements. You're not going to find any figurative language in The Cat Sat on the Mat. Like, you're not going to find a lot of any character development, anything like that. And so by allowing the students to listen to audiobooks that have pictures, even in those younger grades, all of a sudden they start to become more interested in books in general. Yeah. So rather than having them just decode and they're, super slow, it's painful, yeah. Right? Let them enjoy the reading. Let them listen to the book. There's programs for free. Get epic.com, Epic Books, free for teachers
There's a new one called VOOKS that's free for teachers. I just signed up for it, checking that one out.
Yeah.
VOOKS.
I saw that one too. I think Epic might be better.
I don't know.
Anyway,
we'll find out.
We will find out, but it'll like highlight the books, the words as it reads to them. So they're still going to learn tracking. They're still going to do some correspondence there.
Yep.
Can you see some of the other answers that we've gotten so far?
See, we have Irby from Arizona says, it helps if the reader can identify with someone or something in what they're reading. I like Lord of the Flies as a high school freshman, not so much Tale of Two Cities. So it was more, again, I want to see myself in what I read. So if we can kind of be aware of that. That's a good point from Irby from Arizona. For me, I deal with the struggling readers the most. That's my everyday thing. So I do a lot of collaborative reading. I know Edu Protocols helps me. It's a good system for collaborative reading, so it doesn't seem so daunting. You give it a structure for it. But I love doing just a lot of kids who are struggling readers. Let's be honest, they were not read to as kids. That's why they struggle to read. They don't like it, and they struggle to do it because they just weren't read to. It's it's a fact of life. You can tell the kids that were read to. So pretty much, it's like I'm reading to them. I'll just use Screencastify, and I'll do a read aloud for them, have them follow along as they hear me read, and that does make a difference. Something that requires a little bit of work, but totally pays off in the long run.
Kay McNamara, by the way, loves narrative nonfiction. That is her favorite type of text, or her favorite genre. Hey, Mark Loundy's here. Hi, Mark.
Mark Cupertino.
So
Mark's been walking a lot. He walked the marathon on Sunday.
That is awesome. That's good.
Yep.
I've been walking a little bit more. Yeah. Not much.
I've been getting 15,000 steps a day at work.
That's really good.
That's been my walking.
I don't get as many steps as I used to, and so that's why I'm trying to do a little bit more at home. So
David Platt says he approaches this from the side of the project's assignments to get them interested. For example, you can retell a story from the perspective of a different character, or put yourself in a story. What you would do in that situation? I was doing that with Emoji Power Paragraph lately.
Yeah,
kids have been loving it. I'm surprised how they love that protocol more than anyone that I've done so far. So we were doing.
It's because they're allowed to be creative.
Yeah, so we were doing one on imperialism. So they had to take the role of an imperial country. Like they're the imperial power.
Oh, interesting.
So, I threw up different emojis, and you need to write a sentence. What would make the imperial power feel happy? So they learned about that. They wrote about it. What would make them feel angry? What would make them feel strong? And so and they kept asking, can we do it again, but from the conquered nation perspective? We don't have time right now, but definitely I'll find time soon.
That's critical thinking right there. You're thinking from multiple perspectives.
It seemed like
that's huge.
My ones who were fresh across the border, zero to no English, you hear they were interested. They wanted to know.
That's cool.
That their neighbors were sitting there translating for them, telling them what to think about, and they were turning in some good stuff written in Spanish. So I've been enjoying that. They're looking forward to it now.
That's cool. Was that the doorbell?
I don't know.
Is that what that sound was? Can you check on your phone? We can do that because we have.
I would have gotten.
You would know on your watch. Hey, John Krippos here. We were just talking about you. All good things. All good things. We were reflecting on our public marriage.
That's right.
That the Reverend John Carippo officiated for us. So, and Adam was just telling a story about Emoji Paragraph as well.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool too.
You're gonna have to go back and watch it now.
And I was saying that I believe that the reason that your students loved Emoji Paragraph so much was because it prompts creativity. But now that Carippo's on, can you please tell him what you did, because it's so great for the multiple perspectives? The story you just told about your students and what they did Emoji Paragraphs about.
Yeah, we were studying imperialism in my Sadat U.S. history class, and that class is fresh across the border and zero English for most kids. And we're talking about imperialism. We're talking about the perspective of an imperial power. So we did Emoji Power Paragraph using to write from that perspective, and what would make the imperial power feel strong, feel angry, feel happy, feel annoyed. So they were definitely based off what they'd learned so far. They wrote some pretty creative things. I was very impressed with how well they really jumped into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with question 3 here, as far as non-tech or tech strategies you use for reading comprehension. Speaking of English learners, I had a lot of English learners when I taught as well. When I was teaching primary grades, I didn't want the students to, like I had said earlier in this conversation, just be stuck with decodable readers that are boring, don't have high vocabulary, and aren't great stories, so to speak. It's just all phonics, which we need that too, but then kids don't learn to comprehend. And so what I used to do is I would select every day during ELD time, actually, English Language Development, I would select a book, a picture book, and I would read it aloud, but I would not show the students the pictures. So their job was to draw what was happening in the story as I was reading. And I would stop every so often because they're young, right? And so they need a little bit of time. I mean, even with sketchnoting, you give kids a little bit of time, right?
Yeah.
So I would stop after a few pages and say, okay, if you haven't already, draw what happened in the story. And then they would talk about it. And then they would try to write, at least when I taught first and second grade. So it was awesome because they were, the comprehension was coming from their imagination, not from the pictures, because they couldn't see the pictures. And then what I would do is I would show them the pictures afterwards.
That's nice.
So when they're done, I would say, well, this is the way the author interpreted it, not to say what you thought was wrong, but here's the way they imagined the story. It was really fun. They loved it.
It's kind of like one of those Family Feud survey says moments.
Yes, yes. It was great.
So for me, like, when it comes to tech and comprehension, for me, I'm like in a good flow of book snaps and Flipgrid. It's a great way to really see it with what kids know and help them be creative with it at the same time, have some fun with it. Non-tech, for me, it just goes straight to sketch notes. They can visually represent what they've read and what they've learned, what they're pulling away. For me as a teacher, I can understand what they're thinking, and they get to, again, be creative with it. As our friend, I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I don't know.
Toronto, crazy one.
Jen Giffen.
Yes, Jen. Yes, I said crazy one, and you knew it was Jen Giffen. Like she says, when she looks at kids' sketch notes, you can see their personality.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to what I think it was Irby said earlier about, seeing themselves in it, I think that helps them really express it. Express what their feelings on it. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Sounds good.
Katie McNamara says, conversation might range from a 30-second talk to a book club discussion to book snaps. All right, Katie, we're on the same page, which is very important to them, sharing book snaps.
Absolutely.
Katie.
So I like what Mary said here. I don't think you shared this, did you?
Okay.
So Mary from the Philippines says that there's so many ways to learn and there's so many platforms available now. So she had a niece who hated reading books but loved anime. You had a student who loved anime as well. So Mary took her niece to a Japanese comic book store, and she took to it. She even learned the language herself.
Wow. Because
of that. Hey, Susan Stewart's here.
It was like in South Carolina right now somewhere.
Was it, or was that? I thought that was a memory.
Was it? I could have sworn it was. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. Susan's always everywhere.
That's right. That's right.
Susan's a jet setter. She's like Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, I loved that game. I had it. I had the board game, and I had the computer game. How about you? Did you have either?
No, I remember watching the cartoon a few times. I read a few of the books.
I didn't watch the cartoon. I didn't read the books.
It was weird watching the cartoon. I was like, because like the two kids were trying to chase her around the world.
Right. They're
like 11 and 12, and they're talking. Oh yeah, back in the day when I was studying abroad in Spain. I'm like, you're 11. And it acted like they were so much older.
That's hilarious.
You're like 11. You act like you're a freaking doctor already. It's nuts.
It's cute.
We have some of the old friends from Engaging Counter on, Cindy and Serge. You met Serge, we played soccer with over in
cool.
Yep. And
nice.
Little Cindy, she's teaching in Fresno Unified still.
Sounds good.
I remember her kids were newborns, and now they're all giants.
Oh, my goodness.
It's insane, man, how old we're getting.
So back to our
yes.
book chat here. So David Platt says he likes tools that read to students, because we were talking about accessibility, right? And then to break down comprehension, he likes HyperDocs. HyperDocs are great. If you are not familiar with them. Hey, my mom's here. Hi, Jan.
Hey, the Jan, go ahead.
That's right. And then David also talks about Edpuzzle. If you are not familiar with Edpuzzle, it's awesome because you can take a video and you can insert your own
plenty
questions.
of sources from YouTube to National Geographic to Khan Academy.
Yeah.
If you get the video, drop it in Edpuzzle.
Your own, too.
You can make your own videos. You drop
Yeah.
it into Edpuzzle, and you put the questions. You can put it where they can't move on until they answer.
Yeah, and it will even, like for the multiple choice portions, or if you have like a one-word answer, it'll grade it for you.
Yeah.
The data is amazing because it will show you how many times the student rewound it, how many times they watched it, so you'll really know that information as well. So
Kim Calderon says, close reading strategies, taking apart the text in small pieces. In science, we read articles, look closely for bias and how authors may try to persuade the reader.
That sounds like that would happen a lot in social studies history as well.
Yep, that's something we do.
Okay, I've got
Especially
this.
when we talk about propaganda.
This is an amazing quote right here.
Okay.
Katie says, Katie McNamara, official librarian of CU Tech Talk. Sometimes what we call struggling readers are readers that haven't found the right book.
Ooh, that's deep.
Isn't that good?
That deserves a retweet.
Yeah, it does. I already retweeted it. I already did.
I'm gonna retweet it.
So question 4 just dropped. And question 4 says, and this is actually taken straight from the standards. Like this is required of our ELA standards. And actually it's in our history, social studies, California framework as well. But it says digital and print sources are important. How do you blend digital and physical texts with students? Oh, so my mom can see us, but not hear us. That's irritating. Bluetooth problems.
Yeah.
That's too bad. So, Mary from the Philippines says that she likes the Talk and Comment Chrome extension for recording reactions and live feedback on reading material. Have you used that?
Say it again.
Talk and Comment Chrome extension.
I've heard of it.
This sounds amazing.
I have heard of it.
Okay, check it out. She says that students can make a podcast out of their book reactions. And then, and then she likes Duolingo for learning a language and having a reading challenge. I've heard really good things about Duolingo. Have you used it?
No.
I tried to use it years ago when I taught 6th grade for my English learners, but it was like the app had just started, and so it wasn't very good yet. I have heard that it's gotten a lot better. I loved the premise, and I was really interested in it, but it just hadn't, it wasn't great yet at the time. So anyway.
Here.
So what are your, you can retweet that, by the way.
I could.
Yeah.
I said, what did I say? Where'd it go? All right. So as far as, blending physical and digital, I did this today with the cyber sandwich, which I like to call iTorta. It just sounds more rosy. So the kids I gave them the physical paper text. I actually, normally it's, I give them a link to the article, or usually it's a PDF that I have saved in Drive of the text that I want them to read for each slide. But this time I actually printed it out. People were looking at me funny that I was printing out like text. I'm like, what are you doing here printing out text? I go, this is once in a blue moon. But I have found, especially with the special populations that I teach and younger learners, that their cyber sandwiches and their Iron Chefs are a lot better when they actually mark the physical text first.
Right.
Before jumping into the slides portion of it.
So
that has helped. And
can you explain what those protocols are for those that do not know?
So in a nutshell, like a cyber sandwich invented by our good friend Marlene Hebron of Veggie Protocols fame, and pretty much it's a collaborative reading where they're going to pull out key points of what they read with their partner. They can either have the same text or different parts of the same text, or totally separate text, and then they from that point they move on and they collaboratively do like a Venn diagram to see find similarities and differences. That's a common way to do it, and they use that to write like a summary paragraph at the end to summarize what they've learned from that based on however you rate your prompt. That's been going huge with our ELs and been getting them to read collaboratively. Kind of that structure, it kind of doesn't make it as scary instead of doing your traditional jigsaw. Iron Chef is a similar thing, except it leads to them to a paragraph. What they're going to be doing is leading to like a micro presentation. It was going to happen over and over throughout the class. So it's two different ways to get kids reading collaboratively, and you can do both non-tech and high-tech.
So the example I gave, you kind of saw something similar to this format in my STEAM session at ISTE.
Okay.
Remember how they had stuff all over the room?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So what I like to do is use either tables or the walls or whatever you will be to actually have both physical paper as well as like QR codes or maybe Chromebook setup or iPad setup with those texts, because kids sit way too much. They sit at their desks way too much. And this also allows for curiosity and more of an exploration, as opposed to here's everything you need to read, right? Both digitally and in text. And so it kind of gives the kids more ownership. It gives them, they're owning their learning. They're the ones being curious. They're the ones doing the learning and exploring the resources. They're being resourceful and not resourceful individuals, which is a UDL strategy. So anyway.
Actually got me thinking I could get some more movement up into those protocols and other activities where I can have the physical text printed out.
Yeah.
And with magnets, put them up on my
Yes.
whiteboard walls.
Yep.
And
write about it around
has to
them.
go around. That's
Yep.
what you do
Yep.
a graffiti wall.
Yep.
About it.
Yep.
And then-
That's essentially what I did. You saw
Yeah.
it was like a graffiti wall. It's just I used chart paper because it was, I didn't have whiteboards at a conference.
Yep. You could have used the white books.
They're not my favorite.
Nope.
I prefer chart paper that's sticky.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a preference.
Question 5 is drop, and it says, professional learning is important for educators. What book or books do you recommend that have positively impact you? I don't think 280 characters might be enough.
True. That is true, but this may help others that are looking for some good books for their professional career. Oh, goodness. Educational books that have impacted me. Just positively?
Yes, would be positive.
Are we sure?
Yeah. Be nice.
Hey, speaking of what do you call it?
What?
Where'd it go? Cool. So we were just talking about Innovator Academy and how my friend from a long time ago, Andy Myers, is there, and I said hi, say hi to John Wick, and he said, "No way, John is on my team."
Nice.
That's cool.
Wow.
He can tell Catherine stories from 1999.
Speaking of 1999,
Yeah,
this Saturday I have my 20-year reunion.
that is correct.
Damn.
Yes.
Put that in perspective now, like it's hard to understand like what a big impact that time of your life in high school has on you. Is that I've now spent more than half my life away from high school.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a period of your life that's so like stuck in your brain because it's such an interesting time. So,
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. So
Hey, did you see Scott Nunes is here?
Scott Nunes is here. All right.
Yeah, well, he commented. I'm not sure if he's actually watching, but he commented. And my mom has the sound back on, so that's good news. I'm wondering if we should show everyone what we're drinking because some people missed it.
Yes, if you missed it, we are drinking a 2014 Malbec from Ranchita Canyon out of Paso Robles. We were just there this weekend. It's one of our favorites. All their wines are very unique and like I don't think they have a bad wine. We're not even big fans of ports, and their ports are good. So
okay, so tell them how we learned about Tobin, the Tobin connection.
Which one?
How they sell grapes.
Oh yes. So this is interesting. So we're at Ranchita Canyon, and the old guy who's there, the owner operator, he's sitting there. Oh, he's so fun to talk to. He's talking about in the beginning of it, before they started going commercial, they would sell their grapes to other wineries, and one that they've consistently sold to their entirety has been to Tobin James, which is one of the biggest, most popular wineries in the world. There's like 35,000 people in their wine club. It's the world's largest wine club. And there's a reason why there's that many people in their club because their wine's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we're at Ranchita Canyon, having all these which is about 5-6 miles away. And we're noticing all the nuances from each of the wines and loving it. And he tells us, oh yeah, Tobin James, we sell a lot of lots of grapes to them. And we get to Tobin, and we are now recognizing, oh, that must be the grapes from Rancho Canyon.
Like we knew which wines had those grapes.
Yeah, like
because we just tasted them all. It was amazing.
Yeah, so
it was really cool. Now I lost my train of thought. I got it.
Scott Nunes is here, so he's
nice.
Yep. So big old Scott. He says he loves Paso. He used to have over 75 wineries in a 30-mile radius when he was in San Luis Obispo. Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look what Kim said. Kim Calderon said she's anxiously awaiting the Atticat book. We are about halfway done.
Yep. The first draft.
About halfway done.
Yep.
We got a lot pretty done. Good.
We didn't just drink wine last weekend. We did write.
No, we wrote a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We wrote a lot. We didn't drink wine until that second, like on our way home. Not, I mean, we did a little tasting. We did a little tasting. We didn't actually.
There was a tasting.
Just tasting. So anyway, so I hear there are some common books here that people are recommending. Books by that are published by Dave Burgess Consulting, which we are, by the way, thrilled that we will be published by our favorite publisher.
Yes.
Would you say? I would say so. I would say so. So we're excited about that. I also heard George Couros and Katie Novak mentioned a couple of times. So good stuff. And I heard Carippo and Marlena Hebron. Joe Bowler. I forgot to put her in there. Yeah. But I did put.
It's a great read.
Love it. I love her new book. Mom, you would like it actually as well. I'll have to get it for you. It's called like Limitless Mind or something, which I always remember because of the book. I know, right? So anyway,
we'll get you a book, Scott. Don't even trip.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We got you, bro.
For sure. So the ones that I think that people often forget about lately, or I even do myself, was something that really influenced me was Sir Ken Robinson's Creative Schools. Mm-hmm. Amazing book. Really talks about curiosity and creativity, and he did some amazing book with some work, Sir Ken Robinson, and also Michael Fullen. Michael Fullen is actually a lot of the work done in California themselves, like CDE, California Department of Education, hired him as a consultant as they were working on redoing a lot of the things that they're doing there now. Did you know you don't know Linda Darling Hammond, do you?
I've heard the name.
She is in the state of California and working for, I think it's State Board of Education, not California Department of Education. I don't remember. Either way, great stuff. You know who else is State Board of Education right now is Matt Navo.
Okay.
There's some really great key people involved in education in California now. And so I'm hoping it's hard to move things forward in such a large state. Mm-hmm. I witnessed that firsthand. I mean, we still don't have the California computer science standards were adopted unanimously by the state board September 6th, and we still don't have the actual PDF, like the final PDF published by CDE yet. So that was over a year ago. Anyway, but I am very pleased with those that are there now because I think we could really move forward, which is really cool.
I also forgot to mention, I'm sure you said it though, Ditch Book by Matt.
Yes, that was mentioned a couple times as well.
TLAP, and then,
yes.
Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
That's a good one.
I had to read that for my master's years ago, and it's still, as far as something I was forced to read for a class, that's by far my favorite.
Nice.
There's another one, I forget the name of it, but it was about things that flatten the earth.
It's in the office.
That's a good one. I forget the name of the
It's by
Yes, Friedman.
Malcolm?
No.
Morgan? No, it's not Morgan. It's not that. Who is it?
With Robert Friedman or something like that.
I don't remember.
I know he writes for the New York Times a lot.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's great. It's
interesting.
A great book. Along with, I also read, for if you want to learn about, really making just really making lemonade out of lemons, read Lee Iacocca's autobiography about how he saved pretty much 2 different automakers and how
that is
he was.
interesting.
That was a really good book. That was very inspiring.
You know another book I forgot to mention? Drive by Daniel Pink.
Okay.
Because it talks about intrinsic motivation and how essentially, like, we can't just motivate people with money or with, you can't be like, okay, well, teachers, if your students' test scores are high enough, you get like to wear jeans every Wednesday. Like that doesn't intrinsically motivate people, and then they're not. It's the same concept with students, right? So Scott Nunes also read Outliers. Oh, with your students.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, it's part of Study Sync.
Oh, that's great. That's good stuff.
Interesting.
We use Study Sync, so I'm going to have to ask
Do you?
the department about it.
But it's just ELA, right? That
Yes.
uses it?
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Oh, the dog wants to come in. I'll be right back. These dogs, so high maintenance.
Yes.
So, like, needy. Where's Tupac?
Tupac, where you at, Tupac?
Tupac. I guess he's not out here.
It's thug life right now outside.
Maybe.
So.
Oh, he's inside already.
Oh, all right. Never mind. He's not thug life outside.
He came over. He heard me he knows his name now. He's a puppy.
Yes.
Tupac, come here.
Yeah, we also call him Captain Underbite because he's a little kind of a sissy dog, but we
Here,
call him
I'll show
Tupac.
everyone. He's pretty fun.
It's pretty hilarious.
He
His
is
Underbite,
fun.
and he's like, you think Tupac would be a tough name for a big, tough-looking dog. He ain't tough-looking.
Tell him the story.
It's very
why you
ironic.
say Tupac.
So, come here, Pac.
Tell him why
He's
you
a
say
big baby.
Tupac.
He's a huge baby.
Huge baby.
He's not very big in stature. That's Tupac.
Show everyone your underbite.
Yeah, let's see your Underbite, Pac. Oh, there you go. There's his Underbite. So Tupac, when we rescued him from the pound, he was really scared and nervous in the car, and he was clinging to Catherine. And all of a sudden, California Love comes on the radio, and all of a sudden he calms down. He calms down and is like, "Oh,
Right,
okay,
Tupac?
this is cool." I'm
Tupac,
like,
say hi to everyone.
He likes Tupac. We're going to call him Tupac
That's right.
because it's funny because he's little.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like much of a Tupac. He kind of does look like Tupac a little bit. And we're
His
not talking about the color here, but this ear right here, like if you ever seen the old Tupac pictures of him with the bandana, he always has like the end sticking out. So he always has this one ear sticking out. It's hilarious. Kind of like Tupac wearing the bandana. So many reasons why we call you Tupac, but you're just hilarious, Tupac. And it's fun just to walk around the house yelling, "Pac, come here, Pac."
Yeah, it is pretty
We
fun.
think we're cool.
All right. You ready to get down now, Tupac?
Yeah.
There you go. He's still pretty little.
Yeah, he's not going to get much bigger.
He's a puppy.
Yeah.
All right. So we are on question 6.
Yeah. So, what book,
Oh.
professional person, do you wish had been written either for yourself or students, and why? So, I say that the book that we are writing, our organic EdTech book, EdTech coaching book, is what we both wish had been written when we first became tech coaches.
We actually write that in the book. That the reason we're writing the book is because we learned many things the hard way.
Yep.
And not that everyone needs to do things exactly as we do, but there are certain things that
there's experiences that are kind of common and shared among tech coaches that aren't written out anywhere.
Right.
There's a lot of just systematic ways of coaching that are generic to all coaching, but tech coaching is a totally different thing. Like,
it's different.
Those throw out frameworks out there. Yeah, follow SAM or follow this, follow that, and
TPAC, T3, whatever.
But this is more an anthology of our experiences and stories. And
but there's some solid tips too. Like there are specific strategies, specific lesson design planning strategies, as well as methods of Anyway, you'll see.
Yeah,
you guys will
have
see.
to read it.
Yeah, it's got some there's mechanics of the job stuff too.
Yeah,
it's not just philosophy.
Yeah, so it's very philosophical, but with a lot of practical tips in there. So it's not going to read like a textbook. You're not going to say, well, according to this stuff shirt and an annoying person who did research who hasn't been in the classroom for 20 years. We're not going to be quoting that. It's our own personal action research, like boots on the ground experience. We're not quoting Hattie or Marzano. We're not going to do that.
However, that being said, because I love the neuroscience of universal design for learning, that's the foundation, I could not help but say, hey, the reason that this works, what we're talking about, is because of this particular scientific research. But that's like this much of the book.
They're not.
Like, if even.
Yeah, a lot of books you read are always
Yeah.
quoting a bunch of research. Like this is our own ideas and stuff that we've witnessed and we've experienced, and I think that's more people we've been told love our storytelling when we present, so we're putting it in book form now.
You know what's interesting too? I track my blogs. We both do.
Yes.
To find out like what is it that people want to hear, because I want to bring back value to others, and if people aren't reading something, then maybe that's not a message that needs to be said at the moment. And what I found really interesting is that those that are about coaching have gotten the most views. So it follows then that this should be the first book that I co-write is about coaching, because that seems to be what is the message that is resonating with people from the things I share on the blog.
That is correct. So question 7
Yes.
does drop, and it says, if you were to write a book, what would be the topic and who might read it?
We kind of already answered that question, but others might not, because it is a little bit of our answer happened to be twofold.
That's right.
But twofold, not Tupac.
That's right.
He's over there resting on the couch. So yeah. I mean, there are other books that I have been interested in writing as well. So I have cap locks on. So again, question 7. Oh, by the way, question 6. Scott News had said that he wishes there was a book for student podcasting. I think that would be very cool. Yeah, I think that would be great. All right. Wow, you're writing a lot over there about IMB in your brain.
Yeah,
That's in my brain. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of times what I do when I can't sleep, I daydream. That's what helps me get to sleep. So since I can't even remember when I started like daydreaming of this, being the Fresno State sports fanatic that I am, I've had this, Fresno State always has this chip on their shoulder that we have to prove ourselves. So I've always had this brain of like this character. It started off with football, who sprang from this area and elevates Fresno State football. He's like this, becomes an all-time great, just Fresno State, but on into the NFL. And in my brain, I would just kind of like create the story, of his success. And then as I got older, I said, all right, I recreated the same character, but now he's the basketball player. Now he's the baseball player. Now he's the soccer player. He's a different. Each edition of the book, each edition of the series, he's the same transcendent figure that elevates.
Oh, crazy!
But in a different sport. So I've had that forever in my brain. One day I'll get to maybe put pen to paper.
There you go.
But it's been ruminating in my head for decades now.
Yeah. All right. Pretty cool. So
Kim Calderon says she reads pieces of Launch to her students. They loved it.
Oh, really?
They love to celebrate the growth mindset.
That's
good
cool.
stuff. Yes, Launch by John Spencer and AJ Giuliani.
Who were
your kindergarten friend.
Yes, I went to
John
kindergarten with I went to kindergarten with John's twin brother,
That's right.
Jim. So
Same thing.
Jim was my friend, and then John was Jim's twin brother, so of course I knew him too.
Yeah.
And then years later, like when, because like after kindergarten, we weren't,
Yes.
I think we weren't really not friends. We just didn't like, when you're in kindergarten, like gender differences, like don't matter. Kids just play all the time. And then when they get to first grade, sometimes they're not as mixed.
Yes.
Right. So, which is kind of stupid. It's a whole stereotype
Yeah,
thing.
we got my cousin Marissa on. She
So,
had a birthday not too long ago.
so
Yes.
then when I got older, I saw Jim and John like at a tennis thing that we were in like a tennis camp at Clovis High together. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, yeah.
All right. It's a small world.
It's a small world after all. people are gonna be like, I'm never watching this show again because now
Yes.
it's gonna be in my head forever.
Well, at least they don't have to hear "Get Down" by I forgot some dumb song the girls have me play in the car. I cannot get that. Or "Granny's House."
Granny's House.
Don't start "Granny's House." Or "Every Day" starts with "Old Town Road."
Uh-huh. One little finger, one little
No,
finger.
she's over that. It's "Can You Make
Oh,
Me
thank
Happy
goodness.
Face." by Sue
Thank
Sue
goodness.
Song.
Laura Voschel's
Laura Voschel's
here. Hey, Laura. It
She
was
had a
her
birthday.
birthday
Yes.
today? I think it was today.
And I told you happy birthday on Facebook. She didn't.
I don't tell people happy birthday on Facebook because someday I'm going to like not be on Facebook and not tell someone happy birthday and I'm going to feel really bad like it's not equitable.
That is
So
a
that's
choice.
the reason.
That's a choice.
I just am explaining. Anyway. All right. So question 7, we're still on that.
Yeah.
If you were to write a book, what would be the top topic and who might read it? So of course, I am co-writing organic EdTech coaching with this guy here, Tech Coach Juarez. And then I also someday would love to write a book about how educators and leaders can support students and educators
Okay.
that have mental illness, that are
Yep.
struggling with that, because that's something that is very misunderstood
Yes.
by no one's fault of their own.
So,
Yeah.
not surprisingly, Kim Calderon says,
Yes.
"Science rules the world. Integrated science into all areas for teachers to help bridge the gap between science and everything else, and show how you can use science as a vehicle to get kids excited about learning."
I love that.
I would want to write the same thing about social studies because
Yes.
I think we both
Yep.
subjects are very good at that. I remember years ago when we started we embarked on the Common Core in our writing and we started a writing project.
Mm.
It was brought to our attention that in this case, if we do it right, social studies drives the bus.
Mm.
That's the content,
Was that GLAD?
Huh? No, it was post GLAD.
Oh, GLAD told us that.
GLAD.
Oh, you're saying Common Core. Okay.
Yeah, Common Core, not GLAD.
Yeah.
We're trying to
I'm just saying.
erase that from our memory.
GLAD told us that.
We're glad that GLAD's gone.
Guided Language Acquisition and Design. They still do it out of Orange
Don't-
County
no,
Office of
I
Ed.
don't do it. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Actually, there were some strategies that were solid. It's just the way
There
it
are things
was
that I was already
brought
doing.
out. The initiative was not
Yeah.
rolled out well. Those that came and trained were not great either. So
Yes, Jan Baby Shark. That one I don't
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
I don't hear it as much.
they don't request that
I
as
play
much.
that for students
Training.
because it gets their attention. They're like, "What? He's playing that?" I don't mind Baby Shark.
So speaking of science and social studies and integration, Laura Voschel, if you're still listening, you will appreciate this. There are some consultants at TCOE that we are coming together kind of as a passion project and really working on how to send the message to educators that science, social studies, computer science, that these are all very important as opposed to just say the tested subjects, right? Let's be honest, ELA and math. And the fact that an integrated approach is going to be very effective and that increases relevance for kids. So we actually created like a guide for some interdisciplinary connections, so to speak, for a sample, like what could spur a unit based on standards in grade, I think we did grade 5, and how they could kind of, it's pretty solid. I think it's pretty cool. Like it's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think that that's something that, if we could build our capacity of our teachers to do something like that, they also wouldn't be tied to textbooks by every single subject area, right? Can you imagine if we meaning, I don't know, someone created a curriculum that was multiple subjects in one? How much money would we make? Now you don't have to buy Wonders for ELA and Go Math for math. And what are some of the other ones? What's the science ones? National Geographic for science or whatever.
Yes.
Like you'd have one that actually shows those connections for kids. Obviously, that's a lot easier in the elementary levels than in the middle school, high school, though it's certainly possible in the high school levels. But wouldn't that be great?
Sure.
But it's hard to know how to do that. So Oh, now we're already on question 8.
Yes, and
Tell everyone about
that.
that.
It says, give a shout out to your favorite authors. Be sure to tag them in your tweet.
Oh my gosh, there's so
I did
many.
it once, so I did it again. So throughout the big names like Dave Burgess and Tara Martin, Joe Cripple, Marlene Hebron, Matt Miller, Joe Bowler, and I threw out Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yes.
My favorite, greatest coach in the history of all sports. That is undisputed. I'll fight you on that. Man, reading his book and how he fused so many different philosophies of great leaders into his own personal philosophy, and he made people better. That was always been my huge looking up point for Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, here is the Scotsman who's like a fan. He doesn't know jack about football, like American football, but he loves Vince Lombardi, and he's learning from Vince Lombardi, the greatest football coaches of all time. And then he's not even American, but he's like an expert on every American president and war heroes throughout history. He takes all their different strategies and molds it into his own. So, yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson, reading his a couple. I've read his biography and a book about leadership that he does. So it's awesome. So,
hey,
we need him.
Jan Goyette has a good quote right there that she said.
An integrated approach mirrors life. That's where you go.
Absolutely.
Well said, Jan Goyette.
You know, Jan Goyette, my mom,
yes,
wrote a curriculum for music that was integrated with other subject areas. So, and this was in the 80s. This was like she was writing it and recording it with her friend Gail while I was in the womb.
You know, that was over 30 years ago, the 80s. It seems like yesterday, but that's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Early 80s.
Yes.
Like 1980 probably, or 81 or whatever.
When we were born.
Right before
Yeah.
just, yeah. I used to have a lot of those songs memorized.
I bet.
Goodness, there's so many authors to call out here.
That's right.
It's crazy.
I forgot to put George on there.
Do another one and add more.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
That's what I always do when I forget someone like that.
I always forget somebody.
But it's hard not to, sadly. And I'm just talking favorite educational authors, but you know, certainly there's other authors that are not educational authors as well.
No, I know I'm gonna put here someone I didn't say earlier. Hold on.
Okay.
Recent authors.
Recent authors?
Very recent authors.
Very recent authors. Brent Coley.
Lindsay and Kate.
Oh, I haven't read their book. Have you?
I've skimmed through it. I haven't. I've skimmed through it. I haven't gone through it, but
I haven't read it yet.
a lot of stuff that I already know, but it's
right.
Like,
Good
a
for
lot of the stuff is stuff that they taught me. So
right.
I had to buy it. Like I learned Quizlet from them. They grabbed me.
Quizlet Live.
Grabbed me in the hallway. During
Excuse
their
me.
poster.
They didn't grab you. They grabbed us. I was there too.
Well, no, like Lindsay, like grabbed my arm and yanked me over. Like, get over here.
Okay.
Come play with us. And then you were like right next to me.
Yes. Yes.
And she was just like grabbing me by the arm. Get over here. Come play. And we played. I learned Quizlet Live and I've been hooked ever since.
Use it all the time now.
So if I've had any students that are watching, they'll know why.
Oh yeah.
Quizlet Live. You can blame Lindsay Blass
That's right.
for reeling me in with that one.
That's right. Yeah, Brett Coley's book is pretty good. Did you read it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh my gosh. Jimmy Casas.
Yes, that's one we quote in our book. We're
Yes.
quoting a lot of him in our book.
I don't see his.
We're actually going to quote
I'll
more.
put Eric Sininger in here.
Well, yeah, we're going to probably quote more about Jimmy Casas, like his
Just his philosophy.
philosophy in life. It's a lot of it's not in his book per se, but it's when
We've heard
in our
him say it.
conversations with him.
Yeah.
A lot of things, like he had all great one-liners, and we're just writing them down.
Mm-hmm,
So some of it was in his book, but a lot of it's
mm-hmm.
it's kind of cool.
I think I got quite a few authors here. I'll just tweet it out. If I forgot someone, so be it.
That's right.
So we've got about another minute until the closing thank you tweet.
That's right.
For those that are on late, you want to show them what we're representing today as far as our
wine.
local wine, as always.
It
Have a local
is
wine.
Ranchita Canyons 2014 Malbec. We were just there this weekend. It was great. And we learned that Ranchita Canyon sells a lot of their grapes to Tobin James, which is one of the world's largest wineries. And it's not like it's not like cheap wine. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And we as we learned that, we started noticing the different flavors and nuances in Tobin's wine. We're like, that is definitely has to be grapes from Ranchita Canyon.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So it's pretty cool to make those connections.
Okay, so what does my mom say? I wonder how some of the early great writers in literature would have been able to contribute to integrated instruction as well as learning through technology. You know what's interesting? To be honest, the printing press, that was technology,
Yes.
right? So if technology,
that was the social media of the day.
If technology is designed to increase accessibility, which I think that's a huge part of it, the internet increased access to knowledge. Well, so did the printing press.
I'm sure there was people back then that were like, oh, they need to learn how to hand copy this word by word before doing reading it. A printed copy.
No, this is what they wanted. They wanted the peasants to say ignorant and not learn to read.
There is really no coincidence that not long after the printing press, and around the same time that the Protestant Reformation started. Right. Those ideas now, and that's coming from a Catholic right here.
I was going to ask, but I decided to not say anything.
From a Catholic. There's no reason. Those ideas and questioning of Catholicism, without the printing press, they were going to be kept down. So it's much like the internet today. Yes,
agreed. So, well, we just had our thank you on Twitter. We want to thank everyone for joining us on the Twitters and on Facebook Live.
That's right.
For tonight's CV Tech Talk, as always. And we'll see you next week.
That's right. That's the plan.
If you missed part of this, you could go watch the whole hour. It's kind of long.
A lot of the kids will listen next week. They're probably making their cameos.
Oh, they love that.
Yeah.
They love that.
Faces.
I don't think we have anything else to.
Well, wait. It'll be Ashley and Ariel.
Oh, no, Wednesday. Wednesday, we're good.
Dreamy and Dylan don't like
Thursday, we have a networking event.
Yes.
Yeah. But Wednesday, we'll be here.
All right. Peace out. One love.